Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name's Bria and I love everything books. I actually can't believe that I'm filming a 2025 reading wrapped right now because my 2024 reading wrapped was my first video ever. How's it been a year? That's crazy. I can't believe that I've literally read so many books this year and documented reading all of them, and it's been so much fun. I'm so glad that I pushed myself to actually do this because now I've been doing it for a year instead of being like, oh wow, I should do it. I thought of this idea forever ago, but I actually did it. And here we are. Anyways, let's get right into those reading stats. I set my Goodreads goal at 100 books, and that's what it's been for 2024 and 2025, and I did not make it again this year, which is a-okay. I really want to get 100 books at some point in a year. There's always next year. That is my goal for 2026. We shall see what happens. But this year, I ended up reading 88 books, which is 10 more than last year. Last year, I only read 78. So next year, around 98, maybe 100. I don't know. 100 is like a really lofty goal. But if I don't have any reading slumps and I'm reading consistently, I can definitely get there. But 2024, I didn't read for 2 months straight. And then 2025, there was like a month or so where I was in a reading slump. And then those like random reading slumps that are like shorter. But yeah, but overall, literally so proud of how this year went. I read so many good books, and that's what we're going to get into. First up, some fun reading stats that I got from Goodreads. The average length of a book that I read was 364 pages, which is about right. Usually I read about like 300-page books, and then there's some shorter, some longer. It is longer than last year though. Last year, my average was 321 pages. So I ended up reading longer books overall, about like a 40-page difference, which I definitely read a lot of long books this year, so that makes sense. In total, I read 32,093 pages. That's so many pages when you put it that way. Like 88 books is a lot, but like 32,000 pages. And last year I read 25,085 pages. So that's like a 7,000 page jump from last year. Crazy. Literally so many books were read. And then finally, my average star rating for this year was 4.3 stars, which is pretty good. Last year, it was 4.5 was my average rating, so those are pretty much the same. I definitely read a lot of 5 stars this year, and then I feel like I started rating a little bit more evenly and starting to rate books 3 stars because I feel like I always feel bad rating a book a 3 star, even though 3 is supposed to be like, it was a good book, I enjoyed it. But anytime I enjoyed a book remotely, I'd be like, oh, 4 stars. So I think that's why the rating went down a little bit, is because I'm being a little bit more stingy with stars, which I should be. Like, I don't rate books 1 stars. If I don't like it, I give it a 2. I should start giving out 1 stars. Well, okay, but then again, usually I DNF a book before it gets to the 1 star. Anyways, those are some fun rating stats. Now onto star ratings. I read 43 5 stars this year, like nearly half. If it was 44, it would be exactly half of the books I read were 5 stars. Literally crazy. I feel like I'm being more picky about which books I choose to read, and like I'm gonna pick up a book because I'm interested in it, and that's worked out. Maybe I give out 5 stars too easily, but also I read a lot of rereads this year of like series that I knew I loved, so like I knew it was gonna be a 5 star, so there's also that. And then I read 29 4-star books, which is also really, really good. I feel like 4 stars I really enjoy reading, but there's just like maybe a few things that I didn't love. Maybe it was like spicier than I expected, or just stuff like that, or they just didn't quite live up to the 5 star, but I still really enjoyed it. So that's like over 75% of the books that I read this year I enjoyed for the most part, or loved, which is crazy. Literally such a good reading year. And then I read 14 3 stars, which kind of feels like a lot. I feel like I can't even remember all the 3 stars that I read. But like, again, those were ones that like I enjoyed. They just weren't my favorite. Probably never read them again. And then I did read 2 stars, and there were no 1 stars because I can't give out 1 stars. But my 2 stars, one was Persuasion by Jane Austen, which I feel so bad because she's such a beloved author. And okay, actually, I gave that one 2 stars for a reason, because there were a few scenes in that book that I genuinely loved and like felt like I was in the story, but then the rest of it, the writing's not my style. I don't love classics because I can't just be immersed in the world, and that's what I love about reading, is just like forgetting reality and like being in a different world. But with classics, that's a lot harder to do. So 2 stars for that one. But if you love classics, read it. It's really good. Just not for me. And then the other 2 star was Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. If you've read it, you know. I've already talked about that in a vlog. It's not good. Yeah, maybe I should have given that a 1 star, but yeah, don't recommend that one. But overall, I'm literally so happy with all the books I read. 2025 is good. 2026 is going to be even better. Okay, now onto genres. This was a little bit hard to do because some books like overlap genres. Like it could be like historical fiction romance or fantasy romance. I feel like romance is usually like a subplot. So I tried to sort it into the main genre of the book. let's go through that. Gotta grab my laptop for this, but I'll pop it up on the screen. Okay, my biggest genre was fantasy, which was the same as last year. And I'm always surprised by how much fantasy I read because I feel like I don't read a lot of fantasy. But then I go through my Goodreads and I'm like, wow, I read so much fantasy this year. But I read 36 fantasy books, which is crazy. To be fair, a lot of them are series, so it wasn't like 36 individual fantasy worlds, but that's still a lot of fantasy. And let's just go around the circle. I read one classic, Persuasion by Jane Austen. I've already talked about that. I read 2 nonfiction. I don't really read a lot of nonfiction, so hence why it's really low. I read 12 sci-fi, which feels really high. I mean, half of that is like one series that I'll talk about a little bit, but there's a lot of sci-fi this year, and a lot of them were very highly rated, so I need to read more sci-fi next year is what I'm hearing. I only read 3 literary fictions this year, which is really interesting because I read a lot last year, and I was like, I need to read more literary fiction this year in 2025 because I love them so much, and then I proceeded to only read 3. So I don't think any of them were 5 stars. I know 2 of them were Frederick Bachman books, A Man Called Uva and Anxious People. And I think those were a 3 and a 4 star. A Man Called Uva was 4 and then Anxious People was 3. But like I still really enjoyed it. They just weren't like 5 star. I think that kind of threw me off to the genre. And then same thing, I only read 4 historical fictions, which is another genre that like I love, but then I just don't read them, I guess. I don't know. I read 1 Kristen Hanna and I want to read the rest of her books. I have probably like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of her books that I haven't read. And then another huge genre. I read 20 romance books this year, which that sounds about right. That's like 1 in every 4 books ended up being a romance book. They're just good. What can I say? A lot of Catherine Senna this year. Actually, no, I think I only read... Did I only read 1 of her books this year? Actually, yeah. That's crazy. I feel like I read more. Then I read 2 mysteries, which that's another genre I really want to get into next year. I have like literally a pile probably like this big of mystery thriller books, and I just don't ever get around to reading them. But they're so fun. When I read them, I end up loving them and eating them up. So again, 2026, let's read more mystery thrillers. And then I read 5 dystopian books, which is really, really low. That's like one of my favorite genres of all time, but I just did not read a lot this year. And I think the 5 were just The Hunger Games, so it was really only 1 series. I feel like it's hard to find new dystopian books. Like I have all of my old favorites, but I can never really find any new ones. And then last but not least, I read 5 Christian books, whether it was like a Bible study or like a theology book, which I feel like 5's actually kind of high, because they're not just like a book you sit down and read. It's like a theology book or something that takes you kind of a while to get through. So it's a good number. Definitely want to read more next year. I have too many books on my TBR and no way to read all of them. So we'll see what happens next year. Okay, that's pretty much the end of the stats. I put together a cute little graphic of every single book that I read this year. So cue that. Literally so many books. I'm literally, again, I've said this so many times, but I'm so happy with all the books that I chose this year, with a few exceptions. But overall, literally such a great reading year. I cannot wait to see what I read in 2026. It's gonna be good. And then finally, one last thing that I did not have last year in this video was my subscriber count. At the end of this year, I had 189 subscribers. I love you guys. When I started this, I did not know where this was gonna go, and 189 might seem small, and like it is compared to other channels, but like if I had 189 people in this room right now watching me, that's a lot of people. I figured I'd just throw that in there so that every year we can like see how far we've grown. Who knows where we're gonna be next year. Okay, and you might be wondering, what is this stack of books right there? And why are they facing away so you can't see them? Well, I did this last year and I figured why not do it again? Let's go through all of my 5 stars of the year, which is a lot because it's 43, but a lot of them are series, so I'll clump those together, so it actually isn't a lot. A lot of them are also on this shelf behind me, so you'll see when that gets there. But I'm just going to go through in order of what I read them, except I pulled out my top 5 of the year, including series. So like series would count as 1. And those are hiding down there. So this is the order of 5 stars I read in, except for those 5. And then we'll get to those at the end. But the first 5 star of the year was also the first book I read this year, and that's The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. This is probably like the 3rd or 4th time I've read this book. I've read it quite a lot. It's an autobiography of a Holocaust survivor, and it is so sad and so good. I've read it so many times, and of course it's 5 star. Next up is a series, but I actually only rated the last book a 5 star. The first 2 were 4 stars. It's the Accelerati trilogy, and it's Tesla's Attic, Edison's Alley, and Hawking's Hallway. This is a sci-fi series, and I read this probably like in middle school, and I remember it being better than it was, but the last book got crazy. The first 2 were pretty like YA, but this last one, stuff went down. It was crazy. So I gave this one a 5-star. And if you're interested in sci-fi and like sciencey stuff and like Hawking and Tesla and who's the other one? And Edison, it's pretty solid. The last book will be your favorite. There's a blurb by Rick Riordan on there. Is that how you say it? Rick Riordan? I don't know. Then we have The Room on Rue Amelie. I think that's how you say it. By Kristen Harmel. This is a random book I found actually in Canada when I was up there for a missions trip. And it's a historical fiction set in Paris during World War II, which is kind of funny because I also read The Nightingale, which is basically the exact same premise, but I read this one first, so I gave this one 5 stars and The Nightingale 4. But I'm curious if I'd read it the other way, if The Nightingale would have been 5 stars and then this would have been 4. I'm not entirely sure, but it was really good. 1,000 Heartbeats by Kiera Cass. This is probably my favorite book of all time. It's a 6-star. It's so good. I didn't put it in my top 5 because I did top 5s excluding rereads because rereads are already perfect. Of course I love them. But this is, I don't even think it's a fantasy. It's primarily romance. It's set in this fictitious kingdom and there's war and it's so stinking good. I love it so much. I've probably read it like 4 times or something like that. Completely tabbed up. It's so good. The scene with the fox, it gets me every time. I block it out of my memory and so then when I read it again, I'm horrified again and want to barf. And it's not fun. But I love these characters so much. It's so good. Anything by Kiera Cass is a 5-star. Then we got a series that's up here. I'm just going to pull out one of them. But the entire Hunger Games series, they're all up here. And Sunrise on the Reaping came out this year. Literally so good. I guess that maybe should have gone in my top 5. But The Hunger Games is so good. My favorite is probably, actually it might be Sunrise on the Reaping and Catching Fire. And then probably Mockingjay. And then The Hunger Games, and then The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes. But this whole series is so good. The movies are also really good. I'm so excited for the Sunrise on the Reaping movie to come out. Such a good series. I'm sure you've heard so much about The Hunger Games, so I won't really give you much about that. Then we got The Host by Stephanie Meyer. This is the author that wrote Twilight, so when I saw it, I just grabbed it because Twilight's a fun series, and I ended up loving this book. Obviously, gave it 5 stars. It takes place in Arizona, which I've never read a book that takes place in Arizona, so that was really cool. It's a sci-fi, another sci-fi. See, I love sci-fi this year. There's basically this alien species that is taking over Earth, and the main character is an alien, and so it's kind of her juggle between like, is her species doing the right thing? Does she agree with them? Does she disagree with them? And it's so good. There's definitely aspects of found family, which is super cute. And yeah, I just fell in love with all the characters. Yeah, definitely super unique. I watched the movie and the movie was not really good. It was just really low budget. It followed the same story. It wasn't like it was bad, but it just didn't do the book justice. Book is way better. I think I read this over 48 hours, which is crazy considering it's like 700 pages, 600 pages, like 650 or something like that. Very long book, but I loved it. Lady of a Thousand Treasures by Sandra Bird. This is also a reread. I read this last year. Well, I guess last year is 2025, considering it's 2026 now. Anyways, I read this 2024 and 2025, and it's really good. This is another genre-bending book. Well, I guess I don't know about genre-bending, but it mixes a bunch of genres together. It's historical fiction, Christian romance, and I think that's it. But it's just really cute and wholesome. This is what I want from a romance book. It's just cute and wholesome. Like, there's nothing suspicious about it. It's just cute. And it takes place in 1800s. It doesn't say it on the back. I don't know. But the main character is an evaluator of antiques. Yeah, I don't know. It's really cute. Really good. Another Kiera Cass series. This is The Betrothed and the Betrayed. These books are so good. They're kind of similar to 1,000 Heartbeats in like the setting. It's another like medieval kingdom somewhere. And this one follows, what would you even call that? She's like dating the king, like courting the king. That's probably a better word. And the stuff that happens in these books is literally, there's so many sad things that happen. It's crazy. The amount of loss that this poor woman goes through is actually crazy. But there's a lot of politics in this one. There's 2 warring kingdoms. And yeah, it's just really good. Anything by Kiera Cass, again, pretty much a 5-star. Then this is kind of a random one, but these are what are these called? They're like ESV journals. So this is the Book of Mark, but in a journal. And I counted this because like I actually filled out the whole thing and like I actually spent time and studied the whole thing, and it was really good. Obviously 5 stars. What else can you say? And then another series that's back up here that I'm also not going to take down because it's the Harry Potter series. Let me at least take down one. Not The Cursed Child though. I just put it with the Harry Potter series because I don't want to like have it away from it, but 2 stars. But Harry Potter, these books are massive. I did a whole vlog on this, and I think like everybody knows what Harry Potter is about. So good. I had not read these books in like 10 years, something crazy. Literally so good. I love this world so much. And the movies are so nostalgic. I need to rewatch those. I haven't seen those in a few years either. But Harry Potter, literally so good. I'm sure you know that already. Awakening Wonder by, I guess it's not really by anyone, but it's by the Daily Grace Co. This is an Advent study that I did with some friends, and it was really, really good. Every single page in here is like marked up. But I love doing an Advent study the whole month of December, and this one is really, really good. Honestly, every single thing I've done by Daily Grace Co. has been so, so good. I'm actually in the middle of one right now. I was hoping to finish this year, but it's gonna be getting finished in like January. But so, so good. There's like a devotional every day, and then different questions every day, which I like too. There's so much writing on literally every page. This entire thing is used. So, so good. Highly recommend. This is the last series that we have up here, and that of course is the selection by Kiera Cass. Looking back, I actually think I read every single one of her books this year except for The Siren, which I read December of 2024. So basically in the span of 365 days, I read all of her books because they're so good, and actually all of them were rereads. That's actually crazy. I didn't even do that on purpose. But the selection is so good. I think this was the first book I read of hers because this is her most popular. And actually, The Heir is a 4-star, but everything else is a 5-star. I just talked about it in a previous vlog, but it's so, so good. It's basically The Bachelor, but in a medieval kingdom that's also dystopian because it used to be the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico, but now it's Ilia in like, I don't know, 2300, somewhere around there. I don't know. They never actually give a date. It's really, really good. I love it so much. It definitely is a romance series, but it's so much more than that. There's so much politics and uprisings and caste systems, and it's just so good. I love it so much. I love these characters. I feel like they're family, like I know them. And then finally, the last 5-star of the year, which also happens to be the last book that I read this year, is Comfort and Joy by Kristen Hanna. So I did end up reading 2 Kristen Hanna books this year. One was 4-star, The Nightingale, and then this was 5-star. This book blew me out of the water. If you saw my last video, I talked about it and I read it in that one. But the first 2/3 of the book seems like what you expect going into this, and then the last third, which is part 2, everything changes. And I don't want to give anything away because you just need to go into this blind and just read it. It was crazy. It's a Christmassy book because it does take time over Christmas. It's not like when you think of a classic, just Christmas rom-com. It's not that at all. It's very deep, and there's a lot of like talk about psychology and trauma and going through loss and so many deep things. And I felt like I really knew the characters at the end, which Kristen Hanna's really good about doing that. And this was one of her older books, but it was still so, so good. I think the reason it was 5 stars is just because it shocked me at the end. Literally the last like 50-60 pages, my jaw was just on the floor while I was reading the whole thing, and I could not put it down until it was done. So, so good. And those are nearly all of my 5 stars of this year. Every single one of those I highly recommend. Literally so, so good. I love them all. But now let's get into my top 5 books of 2025. So if you want to read anything, read these ones. All right, I lied. There are more series up here. I forgot. My number 5 pick of 2025 is the Breakthrough series by Michael Grumley. This is a 6-book series. So it's Breakthrough, and then Leap, Catalyst, Ripple, Mosaic, Echo. And then there is also a novella called, I'm totally blanking, Genesis? I think it's Genesis. I'll pop up a picture. Technically, this is a reread, but I read this in middle school, and I only read this book. I had for some reason thought that I read the entire series, but when I was reading them, I remembered all of this, like parts of it, and then didn't recognize anything that happened later. So I think I only got around to reading the first book, so that's why it's on the list. But this series is so good. It's another sci-fi. What is happening? Do I love sci-fi? I think I do. If you described this to me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not super interested in that. Well, maybe. There are dolphins. There are talking dolphins, actually. Not in that way. Let me back up. There's a team of scientists that create the, I should know what it's called. It's like intermammal something system. I think it's IMIS. Intelligence? I don't know. They create a system that allows them to translate dolphin speech, so they're able to talk to dolphins. But it's a slow process, so it starts with just like, hi, and like, give me food, or like stuff like that, and then it progresses throughout the series. So that's one of our main characters, Allison. She's a scientist. And then there's another character, John Clay, who is a Navy SEAL, along with his friend Caesar. There's a lot of characters. Basically, there's Navy SEALs, and then there's these scientists, and they team up against this threat, and it happens to be extraterrestrial. So there's talking dolphins, Navy SEALs, and aliens. Sounds wild, I know. It's really, really good. Each book gets crazier. It's wild. It's so good. You will not believe the stuff that happens in here. There's so much that happens. I mean, there's literally aliens, talking dolphins, and the military. So It's gonna be crazy. And then book number 4, actually it's another series. So spot number 4 goes to another series that's on here. Might as well just grab the whole thing. The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I knew the series was gonna be good when literally so many people told me to read it, and sure enough, I loved it. So it is a trilogy. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, The Queen of Nothing, and that's the trilogy. And then there's a collection of short stories called How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories. Long title. But this whole series is so good. It follows Jude, who's a twin. She is human, but she gets kidnapped by her stepsister's father, who's a fairy, I think. So basically she's a human living in the fairy world. Her new father is the general. So there's a lot of politics happening, and her being a human is kind of dangerous because she can get charmed and spells put on her. And it's really cool because fairies can't lie, but humans can. So she uses that to her advantage. And it is a romance book, but I would say that's the subplot. It's very political and fantasy heavy, and it's so good. Literally gave every single book 5 stars, and it was that immediate 5-star feeling. So good. And this last book is so pretty. There's all of these illustrations in it, and it's gorgeous. I didn't think I would give this 5 stars, but it deserves 5 stars. I did end up reading actually a lot of Holly Black books this year. I don't know if you can see them all, but I read The Stolen Heir and The Prisoner's Throne, which I give a 4-star. It was good, but not as good as The Cruel Prince. And then I also read The Darkest Part of the Forest, which all of these take place in the same kingdom, Elfheim. But I gave Darkest Part of the Forest 3 stars. Again, not as good. But if you like Elfheim, definitely read all of them. They're fun. Spot number 3, The Love Haters by Catherine Center. Catherine Center, every single book of hers that I've ever read is 5 stars. I've only read 3. I've read Hello Stranger, The Rom-Commers, and then now Love Haters. It's so good. All of her books so far have been clean romance. I'm pretty sure all of them are. But this follows our main character, Katie. I got it right. Katie. She's a videographer, and then she also has a YouTube channel on the side. And she goes and meets Hutch, who is a, why am I forgetting, Coast Guard rescue swimmer. That's the word. She goes there on her job to film a promo for the Coast Guard and then also for her own YouTube channel. But the catch is she can't swim. So yeah, how do you film something for the Coast Guard when you literally can't swim? I don't know, find out. It's so good. The last, I don't know, bit, I forget exactly how much was it, but the third act conflict, I was genuinely scared. Also, I was on a cruise ship while I was reading that scene, so if you know, you know. That was kind of scary. It's so good. I love these characters so much. Katie struggles with body image, which could be a trigger, but also I think it was handled really beautifully. I don't know, I just love how Catherine Center's books aren't just romance. There's so much depth to them as well. And yeah, 5 stars. So good. I can see the entire thing playing out in my head right now. Spot number 2, Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. This book I knew was gonna be good. Literally so many of my friends, anyone who's read it, has recommended this to me, and I see why. This is a retelling of the book of Hosea from the Bible, which is I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 chapters long, so it's pretty short, turned into this. So obviously this isn't how everything happened. I mean, considering it takes place in California in the 1850s, but it is so good. I mean, the title's perfect, Redeeming Love. It's basically a story about how love can redeem a person. This story breaks my heart. The stuff that happens in here is not fun to read in the slightest. There is some pretty heavy topics in here, so definitely look up trigger warnings if you need to. Some of the stuff in here is just despicable, and it's even sadder because this happens to people in real life. So it's definitely not a fun, fluffy book like some of these others were, but it is so powerful. You will walk away with so many lessons after this, and compassion and empathy. It's incredible. I literally, every time I see this book at a thrift store, I will grab it and gift it to people because you need to read this. And it's actually kind of funny because every single copy that I've gotten has been a different cover, and they're all stunning. There's this sunset one, then this one's similar to the one I have but blue, and then I just found this one a few days ago. That one feels more colonial or something. But literally, I can't stop myself from buying these books and gifting them to people because this book will change you. A lot of these other books are just fun, fluffy fantasy reads that you read once, it's fun, but this will stay with you. It's so good. And then finally, our number 1 spot, the Letters of Enchantment series by Rebecca Ross. I love this world so much. So it is a duology. It's Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. And I read this probably in March, April? No, it was in summer. I don't know. But I read these together and they're phenomenal. And then Wild Reverence is the prequel to it. And this came out in August, which I didn't even know it was coming out, which is the crazy part. I saw people reading it and I was like, what do you mean there's another book? But anyways, Divine Rivals follows Iris. Let's go. Iris and Roman, and they are reporters for newspaper. It's this whole fantasy world, and it's kind of funny because there's like magic and stuff, but then they only have typewriters, so they don't like have technology, but they're super advanced in other areas. But basically, it's very reminiscent of World War I, and they basically go to this war, and they're in the trenches covering this war, and it's a war between the gods. It's definitely fantasy. It's so good. There's magical typewriters. It's so cute. I love this story so much, and what happens at the end of the second book, it's too good. It's too good. The tropes are like basically flip-flopped. So the first book, I'm not going to spoil it, but like the first book, there's this trope and then it gets switched. I loved it so much. And then Wild Reverence is the prequel to it. There's not a ton of overlap, but it's basically the story of the two gods that are at war and divine rivals, and you kind of get their backstory of what happened. It's so good. It's Matilda and Vincent. Dude, I'm crushing it. I'm remembering all these names. But this was so good. It took me a bit to get into it because fantasies are usually like that. But once I got into it, I literally sat and read till like 3 a.m. or something crazy. So, also this book is stunning. Like, that's gorgeous. And then the inside is like maybe even better. Like, what? Literally so pretty. Yeah, these books are so good. I will say there is a little bit of spice, I think, if I can remember correctly, but it's really easily skippable. I like already want to reread these books. It even hasn't been that long since I actually read them. But yeah, if I had to recommend anything, I think it would have to be Divine Rivals, which is really funny because I bought Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows like over a year ago. Yeah, like a year and a half ago, and they were just sitting on my shelf, and I was like, I know these are gonna be good, so I'm just not going to read them. Like, I'm intimidated to start them. And then I started them, and here they are at the #1 spot of my favorite books of all time this year. So, read the books on your physical TBR. You never know what's going to happen. And those are all my 5 stars of the year. So many good books this year. I'm literally so happy with all of those. I hope you found a recommendation out of those. I've talked about a lot of them already, like on vlogs throughout the year. That's a compilation of every single book that I loved this year that you should go read. Maybe I give 5 stars out too easily, or maybe I'm just really good about which books I'm choosing to read, and I know what I love. But yeah, that's the end of the 2025 reading wrapped. Actually crazy to me that it's been a year. It's been a little bit less than a year because I actually filmed the reading wrap in like January. No, it is January right now. What am I saying? It's been roughly a year since I started posting on YouTube, and that's crazy. I cannot believe it's actually been a year. Thank you guys so much. I've absolutely loved filming for you guys and reading and like pushing myself to read more, because if I didn't do this, I definitely would not read as much. And I love doing it. So I love having an excuse to have to read and like making it homework for myself. Girl math. I don't know if I can get all of these on my lap. Well, here's like half of them. That's good enough. Thanks for watching. I loved literally all these books, and 2025 was a great reading year. I cannot wait for 2026. See you next time.